But Tristan, you referenced Laris. I think he's the monkey wrench here, even more than Otto, because when he offers his services to Alicent,
he's
at
like,
the end
"I'll
of this
cut
one,
a kid's eye out, no problem."
Yeah,
I'd do it.
She's like, "I didn't ask."
something in her doesn't want to ask for that, but we saw her in the moment ask for Kristen Cole to go gut a kid.
Oh, she demanded
It also
yeah.
doesn't matter anymore because now that she knows what he's capable of, her saying literally anything to him that would sort of open the door to, oh, we could do something about this is a tacit endorsement regardless of whether or not. Now, she can pretend to continue to have the high ground by not asking for the thing, but ultimately that's what she's doing because now she knows what he's capable of.
And now that she did feel comfortable calling on Kristen Cole because he's the more presentable, buttoned-up version of Laris, right? They're both kind of pieces of shit, but Kristen Cole is the more official version. He didn't help her at all. He completely backed down.
No,
I mean, Damon, like, touching his chest was enough to deflate him during that scuffle.
Yeah.
I think either she's just going to turn to Laris, or maybe Laris just does something to impress her. He makes some grand gesture and kills one of the kids.
I did this for you. Please
Yeah.
go out with me.
they sort of tip the directors sort of tip their hand to that whenever they say, you know, whenever Alicent says to Laris, you know, I need somebody who can also be discreet, because I think we saw her realize the limitations that are inherent to having Kristen Cole as a right hand, because, you know, you're sworn to me, and he was like, as your protector,
not as a child maimer.
you know, and because there were just so many people there, and we also learned still that Kristen sort of covets what little honor he still has as being, you know, in being a White Cloak, and he's also sort of restrained by the captain of the Kingsguard. What is his actual name?
I don't know.
Harold Westerling?
That's something like that, yeah.
I'm not sure. The dude who played
Dwalin.
a dwarf in The Hobbit.
Yeah, it's close to that. I think it's that.
So we got to see the camera focus in on him for a second, as if he was prepared to sort of pounce on Kristen. So I think generally the court understands the allegiance there, and so he would have been restrained had he tried to act there, right? So, you know, even if he had wanted to act, I don't think he could have. So I think he was just saving face a little bit.
It's weird. That was like the first time we'd seen, his name is Harold Westerling, I just checked. That's the first like line of dialogue we've gotten from him since Rhaenyra's wedding, when he was just the guy introducing royalty at the front door. But that actor is titanically good.
He is good.
Yes.
And he's had nothing to do for 7
Underutilized.
weeks.
I know.
Absolutely underutilized.
Every time he's in here, I'm like, oh yeah, he's in this show. What are we doing?
But like, if we remember back to that like marble scene when Kristen Cole got this job, almost no one in this circle has any sort of combat experience. I imagine Harold Westerling does, just by the beard.
Yeah.
So once the war actually begins, do you think that's when he becomes a real character on the show?
I guess so. Because otherwise, why did they hire Graham McTavish?
Right, because he's too good for a
Cast, not
background
hired.
role.
Yeah.
He's also almost too high a profile.
Right.
For that, I mean, between Outlander and The Hobbit and all these things, he's not just a character actor anymore.
Right.
Question. Okay. So we set up in that scene that I'm talking about sort of a conflict between Kristen and Westerling, right? So we know that Westerling is a little suspicious of Kristen because he eyed him whenever all of this stuff went down. What if we're being set up for a clash between those two? Sort of if ultimately Viserys is going to be murdered, who's in a better position than Kristen Cole to carry that out? Right? Just exactly how we saw Jaime be the one to kill Aerys or whatever the most recent, you know, the Game of Thrones Targaryen king was.
Mad King.
The Mad King, right? There's a reason why it was a Kingsguard who was able to do that, because they have the most unfettered access.
It'd be like
right?
a Secret Service agent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Kristen Cole is in that pole position, if you will, to do that this time. So what if it's like a mini Clegane Bowl where we've got this teed up now where they're in conflict, and then like whenever he ultimately goes to carry out that murder, that's going to be the final person in between Kristen Cole and Viserys.
Yeah.
That, or if Viserys dies on his watch, maybe he has to end his life. Something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say he's well positioned to do that, but I'm trying to think of a scenario where he would feel motivated to do that. Because I don't know what it would.
Who, Kristen?
Yeah, because he's loyal to Alicent, but as we saw, not that loyal. So what would drive him to do that?
I think it's a larger question. Is Kristen Cole for sale? And then by extension, do we think Lara Strong is for sale?
I think
Are these ideological alliances
I think
with Alicent?
Kristen Cole is still. I think he still just wants Rhaenyra. I think he'd only do something if he could be promised her.
2 husbands on, I think maybe he's moved on.
I don't know. I think he's just
But like Lara Strong, do you think he was just allying himself to whoever the queen was?
No.
Would he if Daemon puts on his back alley hoodie and goes to try to buy off Laris or team up, would he take that deal?
I think Larys went to whoever he perceived to be the weakest, to a person who he could exert his influence on the easiest.
Totally.
Like the most malleable person, and who better than a teenage girl who's been thrust into basically the second highest seat in the land
Yeah.
Sure.
And
with
who
no
might-
experience.
And who might look on him with pity rather than disdain the way a
Right.
man might, right?
Right.
So he can more easily manipulate this.
And we already
girl.
saw that he has experience with women, because whenever we had the hunt scene, the hunt episode, that's who he was speaking to. He was
all the
in and
women.
around those social circles, so
That's
he
true.
understands how that works.
That's really true.
I also do not buy say we do draw battle lines and we go to our respective corners and have our war councils. Otto Hightower will never trust Lara Strong.
No.
He's not
No.
going to want a guy like that in their corner.
No. I mean,
So-
that's like Varys and Littlefinger. They don't
Right.
trust each other.
So if Laris is a free agent, he goes to Daemon.
Sure.
I don't know who else could corral him.
Well, I'm saying I think he'll probably stick by Alicent because I don't know if anybody else would be able to.
Unless Otto pushes him out, though.
You're right. But
I
don't
think
see-
if
yeah.
Larys goes, Alicent has no chance, because at this point in time, I think that Rhaenyra and the Blacks, that side, but we keep calling it the Greens and the Blacks, I think, because people understand that from the novels, but we really haven't heard it said in the show yet. We've seen visual cues for sure.
Right.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think if he goes to Daemon's side, Alicent has no chance, because he's sort of her nuclear weapon in addition to the dragons, right?
Yeah, because she's got Otto, but
But I question his influence at this point in time, because people know that he left and then came back, and there were weird circumstances there. But also, Larys scares the crap out of me, because if he was willing to do that to his father and brother,
Yeah.
he doesn't care about Alicent. He's got bigger machinations than she even understands right now, because she can't see further than the fact that she feels like her and her line have been slighted by not
Right.
having a direct claim on the throne.